Okay. Oh boy. Yo, about to play some Pong. Yeah, no, I actually am about to play Pong. Um, New super chat stickers are enabled. I don't really care. Yeah, we're actually playing Pong here. I have no idea why, but I thought it might be a decent enough idea. To see, you're getting the real inside baseball here. This is what it looks like on the inside. Um, is that... I think that's a decent enough positioning of the screen. Do you think so? Alright, yeah, that works. Yeah, we're actually playing Pong here. This is this is the this is the most technologically advanced live stream I've ever done. I don't think I I don't think I have a more technologically advanced live stream. Clearly this is unparalleled in our age. Yeah, the sound isn't going down, so I'm just gonna... This is unparalleled in our age. This is the most advanced Star live stream of all time. I love how they just include like a Pong player that you can play online, just out of the box. You can just immediately start. It's great. It's a great way to do things. I appreciate what am I doing with my life? Like, we go from streaming like CS:GO and stuff in the past. No, we're Pong streamers now. That's what we're about. What is this Team Fortress 2? We're all about Pong now. I have to open up the chat on my phone, but I don't want to lose track of the uh Pong stream. I'm trash at Pong, but I'll watch and judge you. Paralleled. Yeah, it's okay. I already died. I need to open up the chat on my phone so I can look at it. Holy shit, my phone just gave me a notification that says the Joker is going to get a sequel. I'm excited about that. Leaked information, the Joker is going to get a sequel? I don't know if I mean, it would make sense. It's kind of amazing how like Joker made like $1 billion, and then the closest example they have is like Daredevil, or wait, no, not Daredevil, Deadpool. Deadpool making like 700 million or something like that. So it's kind of cool just how far Joker was able to outdo Deadpool. Hmm. I'd be good with a Joker sequel. A star about that Pong life. Yes. It's weird. I have like multiple videos talking about Pong in the past. I don't know why. Um, I want a Joker sequel as well. Like, I'm not really a fan of superhero films. They aren't really my thing. Um, I know Mark, Hunter x Hunter Dick Writing Association, in the Shonen Ronin is really into superhero movies, and he and I have gotten into these like long arguments about superhero films, and I really don't like them. Um, but Joker was one of those movies that like it felt, I obviously, because it was an extended lore film that was taking influence from like Martin Scorsese films and stuff like that. It was oh my god, woo! Oh, it was taking it was taking a different direction than most superhero films do. And I tend to like the Marvel films more than the DC films on average. Like, the only superhero movies I enjoy were Marvel films, besides I guess some of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I have a complex relationship with those films. Um, but Joker, it felt like a change of pace with DC. Like, DC films tend to be really, really bad. Even though I prefer DC Comics, like, I think DC Comics are much better than Marvel Comics, but their films were usually so bad. And yet Joker ended up kind of standing out as its own thing. It was nice. Star MLG Esports Pong Superstar. Yeah, I agree. We need to start a campaign for Star in FGC. Yeah, no, I'm going to become the most well known, the most well known based Pong esports player. It's gonna be great. No, I lost. Uh, let's reset. Uh, yeah, wait a minute. Let's actually go back. I'm gonna do it with the keyboard this time. Keyboard expert. Yeah, I'm an expert on Pong now. What the fuck? The keyboard's not working. No. Ree. I think DC Comics has better writers, but I prefer Marvel heroes. I can see that. Um, yeah, I kind of I think I might actually agree. Like the ethos of Marvel heroes tends to be a lot better, but DC just has better writing. I like the art style that DC has had a bit more as well. Did literal baby boomers host Pong tournaments? Probably. I could see that easily happening. Um, yeah, we're on expert mode now. This is some pro MLG stuff right here. It's weird because I have to look down at the chat on my phone whilst playing the game, and so like I'm trying to do the super fast, super fast, eloquent Pong moves while simultaneously reading the chat. It's hard. Hmm. I tend to stream at nighttime because I've noticed that I get the most viewers when I do that. But ever since I made that video, ever since oh shit, expert mode, get him star. Ever since I made that video, it was the third unsubscribed video, the one where I was talking about like the point of doing YouTube is to have fun and stuff, and I had this kind of nostalgic rant about the DZ Dog streams that he and I have done. Um, ever since I made that video, I've decided to take a completely hands-off approach to what I produce, like even with streams where I used to try and find like opportune moments to stream, which is usually at nighttime because I get the most viewers at nighttime. But at this point, I've decided to like radically shift the way that I'm doing my content to the point where like I absolutely do not prioritize views whatsoever. And I've never really prioritized views that much. Like my friend Calliope, he always tells me that that I could be a lot more successful on YouTube if I just thought more about the views and the thumbnail and I tried to talk about more broadly applicable things. And I always say no. And then he says that I shouldn't release multiple videos in one day because it's bad for the algorithm. And then I say, well, I don't particularly care about getting views that way. If I get views on a video, like the closest thing I'm going to do to market it is give it a good title and then post it on like a subreddit. Um, and if I go with that strategy, then that that's just one way that I'd be doing it. There aren't many other ways that I'd seek to try and get more viewers on my channel. Um, and so it was an interesting discussion because like on Shonen Ronin, I've made videos that have gotten quite a number of views. Like the Elon Musk video, that was my title. And it was my idea as well, even though Cherry wrote it and Calliope voiced it. Like they were telling me that the title was one of the main reasons it got so many views, and I can kind of see it. Because the title, it's really catchy. Elon Musk won't genetically engineer you cat girls. It catches people's eyes. Really, I think Calliope's thumbnail did a better job, but they attribute it to the title. And there's a number of videos I made on that channel that had titles that garnered like a couple thousand views, like the sex workers video, a really catchy title. It just snaps at you. And so like I have the potential to make videos with good enough titles that can garner a couple thousand views. Like my Lego Unikitty video, at that point that video has 65,000 views. I'm getting my ass handed to me in this match of Pong. Jesus Christ. Okay. Jalen in the chat says, "Yo, hey, how are you doing? I'm getting creamed at the moment by a computer." I think there were gaming tourneys since the 70s. Yeah, there were probably tournaments back then as well. Like I know the closest thing to that I can think of is Nintendo World Championships, where obviously they had like the golden NES cart, and oh my god, I am doing terrible. That you had to get through a magazine, and if you were the winner of the tournament, you could take home the like version that they used in the tournament, and yeah, those were kind of cool. They tried to do Nintendo World Championships again, um, with what was it? I can't remember. uh, let's see. Star, your work on Shonen Ronin has been solid, man. Side note: Star needs help in Pong. Lol, get a medic stat. Yes, I'm getting I'm getting pretty. I'm 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 dying out here, fellas. No, I'm glad you appreciate the work that I've done on there. Um, it like it's something that making those videos on that channel taught me was that I can make at least like kind of mainstream videos. Like I consider 10K views to be pretty mainstream in the current YouTube landscape, because most people like wouldn't dream of getting that many views on a video, just because it's really difficult for the vast majority of YouTubers, and somehow like us working together on there, and especially like with the videos I've put on there, they've been able to be really successful. So I know it's possible for me to do it. I just don't. Uh, like maybe I'm humble bragging a little bit too much, but I just decide not to with this channel, because I want this channel to be entirely its own thing. Just a guy rambling into a camera, and for that to be what it is. I'm surprised that I've actually gotten this far on this channel with the content being as niche as it is, where like with those videos on that channel, they're specifically trying to be broad. They're trying a bit harder to garner a fan base and an audience and things like this. Whereas on this channel, I've taken a much more hands-off approach. Um, let's see. Oh shit! Oh god. I330 is in the chat. Based I330 back again. As far as making videos goes, I just make stuff about nerdy shit I love, and if it puts a smile on someone's face, then I feel good. I appreciate your style of videos. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that's the best way to go, is just to talk about things that you're passionate about and interested in. Because if you do that, then everything else is going to come into place. Like, it's, as I've said so many times now, is that the point of making videos should always be to have fun. And so, oh shit, I'm actually doing terrible. I think I should refrain from using expert mode to stop embarrassing myself as much as I am. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay, I can't keep doing this. I'm killing myself out here, guys. I think I'm actually physically addicted to McDonald's. I've been there before. I'm a pretty big fan of McDonald's. If I had the money, I'd probably eat some right now. McDonald's is good. I don't care what anyone says. I enjoy it. I like your honesty and openness about your feelings, says I want to believe in the chat. Yeah, like my favorite YouTube videos, and I've said this so many times, like in my 3x3 video and stuff, are the people who are so honest to the point that their videos feel like an archive, that that the overall catalog that they've amassed of the things that they've made feel like you're looking at a time capsule of sorts. Those are my favorite videos, especially when they're like weird people like me who don't have a life and constantly talk about anime and strange internet things. I like it when those people are as personal as possible, because there aren't very many of them. It's sort of about the uniqueness versus commonality debate, where I think the people who tend to make those videos the best are the people who are just weird, like not even unique in the way that tends to get praised, just weird people. I've been watching this Japanese YouTuber recently who's like a book reviewer, and he has 100 subs. I can't remember the name of his channel, weirdly enough, but most of his videos are in Japanese. He has some that are in English, and his English is pretty good. But he makes like these 1 hour videos of him just ranting into a camera in 4:3 aspect ratio about like antinatalism and random strange books that he's reading, and it's interesting to me how good his English is because he'll be talking about fairly complex topics and be able to do so with relative fluency. He's just this old Japanese man. Makes all like his entire channel is just these 1 hour videos of him either talking in Japanese or English. And I want to share it in a video sometime soon just because I wish more people were watching his channel. Uh, and uh, yeah, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that that I really enjoy. Like, there's the meme that, okay boomer, that's what people say is, okay boomer, pool's closed, or wait, no, it actually would be the opposite of pool's closed, because it's kids saying it. No, it's no adults allowed, no boomers allowed, boomer this, boomer that. But I really like old people. I really do. I, I, I really like the kind of essence that old people have, the experience, the wisdom that they have, the things that they talk about, the way that they talk about them. There's something about it. Even though, like, I make the videos constantly of sort of pseudo-ironically saying, oh yeah, fuck normies, dude, and all of this and that, there's something deeply charming about old people. And it's like Sir Appleton in the chat is saying, they can be a mixed bag, but I really like them. I don't know what it is. It's the experience combined with like the things that they talk about. It can be really cool. Okay, I'm gonna before I get creamed, I'm gonna refresh. Let's see here. Let me catch up on the chat. Well, McDonald's. What makes you say that? Any favorites? I mean, I always just go with the Big Mac. That's the classic, but I put extra sauce on it. The Big Mac is the classic burger. Everyone likes the Big Mac. I've gone every day like a week for now. Oh boy, don't get high cholesterol, Sir Appleton. I wouldn't be too happy if you like died all of a sudden from eating that much McDonald's. And have been going like 3 times a week for a month at least now. Yeah, that's just be careful. Don't die. Okay, I've been there. McDonald's is really good. They've revamped all their restaurants over the past few years. Interesting. See, even as someone who is relatively anti-capitalist, I can't get over the consumerism of stuff like McDonald's. That's why I support a private sector. It's because I like having socialism and sneakers. I used to get shit for liking it. I'm with you guys. I'm actually not fat, believe it or not. No, I believe you because my metabolism is really distinct because I could eat like a horse, I could eat forever and ever and ever, and my weight stays relatively the same. Like there have been periods in my life when I was less poor where I ate fairly regularly and it was pretty fat-inducing food, lots and lots of saturated fats or proteins and all kinds of things, lots and meat heavy food and this and that pretty regularly, and I stayed the same weight. Like I've had a consistent weight of either being 112 pounds or being like 120. 120 is as far as I've gone up, and then usually that dips pretty fast. So the median number is usually like 116, which right now I believe I'm at 114. I think that's my current weight. So it doesn't matter how much I eat. I always stay around like 116 pounds, with 120 being the most. Let's see. Japanese is a cute language. I agree. I think Russian is cuter, especially when people are angry in Russian. I like listening to angry Russians talk. It sounds really cute. I like angry Spanish. This sounds really strange to, I guess, some of my Latin American viewers or Latino American viewers. I really like angry Spanish. Let's see here. What are your plans after finishing high school? I like, I don't know. Don't ask me that. You're gonna give me an existential crisis. I probably... probably if I'm forced into working, what I want to do is get my TEFL certificate as fast as possible, and then go teach English in Kazakhstan. If I'm forced to work, that's what I'll do. My best friend is a quarter Japanese, and he sometimes translates when I'm playing foreign video games that aren't translated yet. That's pretty based. I'm glad you have someone like that. I wish we could all have a good old Japanese pal to let us know what's going on. There are some decent old people. Gen Xers, on the other hand, Gen Xers could be fun too. I feel like Gen Xers are like the actual boomers, like the meme that boomers are really bad. I feel like a lot of the Gen X people kind of embody, but they can be pretty good too. It just depends. I mean, all human beings are individuals, so you kind of have to look at them as individuals. Um, when did you start streaming? How much did I miss? You missed about 21 minutes. Um, I've got, well, okay, he said that at 5:40, so he missed about 18 minutes when he posted that. Um, I've got mega food autism. I eat all my food with no condiments. I used to do that, and sometimes I still do just to see what it tastes like. But I love condiments, especially barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce is great. Um, let's see here. I'm currently downloading all 574 of your videos. Hee hee. Nice. I'm glad someone is out there trying to archive my videos. I appreciate it a lot. Because if my YouTube channel randomly got deleted because of Susan out there being authoritarian, someone will have them. I think I have like 400 of my videos. I don't even have all of them, especially not the streams. I don't have those. And like my laptop could just have the hard drive die at any point. So there's like a big gap. There's a bunch of my videos I don't have. So thank you for archiving them. That makes one of us. I have a major amount of respect for people who archive people's YouTube channels. I wish I've done it more with some of my favorite channels. Um, oh, Star getting extra saucy at McDonald's. Yes. Nuggies. Yeah, no, I tend to eat the 20-piece chicken nuggets a lot. I like getting those, even though it's like $6 for one of those things. I'll just come in and get one, and then I'll want to eat more after that. This is the weird thing, is that I'm like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Is that Shaggy will be able to eat constantly, but he still looks like a tall and thin mess. Um, my old group name on Destiny was called the Chicken McThuggets. We had fun. People would often comment. That sounds like a good time. I never got really into Destiny. I only played it for a little bit on the Xbox 360. It was a fun game. I knew people who played that game for thousands of hours. I probably I probably would have gotten into it as much as I did with CS:GO, or probably way more. If I just had an Xbox 360 regularly. Like mine is broken right now, and I kind of miss having one. A skinny boy star. Yep. How tall? I am 5'9". 5'9" and a half, more particularly. Damn, that was an intense Pong rally. It really was. Same Angry Spanish star. Angry Spanish is great. Plans are for suckers. That's pretty based. Damn this score streak. Where's that place at? Kazakhstan? That's in Central Asia. It's interestingly enough, the country is like the size of all of Western Europe put together, but no one knows it exists. It's a Central Asian country like Mongolia. It's a place where Asian people live. But they speak Russian there. It's interesting because they all look like Happas, or at least Chinese Happas, but they speak Russian and practice Islam, but none of the women wear hijabs or follow any of the Muslim rules. Like, no one follows any of the Muslim rules. It's basically like they're just Islamic for the aesthetics. It's pretty interesting. But like 30% of their population is also Eastern Orthodox, so I don't know. It's let's see, I can't. I recognize some of these characters. Don't remember what they mean together at this point. I haven't studied Japanese in so long. Didn't mean to send that. It's incomplete. Um, uh, Yeah, no, you know what you get, Susan. You get what you fucking deserve. I is that a it's I feel like someone should edit together a video. Someone should edit together a video of like Joker of that part in Joker where he's like, "Oh yeah, Thomas Wade, you get what you deserve," and he shoots him. Uh, but it's just Susan. That would be pretty funny. Bro Star and Star and I could be roommates. I love BBQ sauce. Maybe it's the southern U.S. in me, but yeah, Louisiana at one point was the second fattest state in the U.S. We fry like everything there. Are you from Louisiana? I'm from Tennessee, so I guess we're both southern boys here. Um, I don't know what it is like even like in Kentucky, we have Kentucky Fried Chicken here, and the people here in Kentucky are very, very serious about their fried chicken. I've never been too big of a fried chicken person, but every now and again, when it's around, I enjoy it quite a bit. Um, I don't know what it is. It's like sauce and chicken are really big in the South. We just love it here, and frying things as well. It was the same in Tennessee. What do you get when you have a mentally ill loner and a society who abandons him and treats him like trash? I believe that's what the Joker film was about. Um, yeah, I think people didn't achieve Daniel's stuff sooner, so Tomoko is completely gone. Oh, archive. I think he means archive. Um, yeah, I wish more people archive Daniel's videos. Like a lot of my favorite videos of his, when I found his channel in early 2017, I went back and watched almost all of his stuff, and a lot of my favorite videos of his were gone. Like you still can't find them. I've gone all through Internet Archive. I've looked all over the place. I can't find most of my favorite videos of his, and it's really depressing, because they're so good. He's the most probably the most comfy YouTuber outside of like I guess No Thank You is very comfy. Like if you're talking about like comfiness is like an idea, like hiding in my room's like the best one almost. And so many of my favorite videos of his are just gone. So it kind of sucks. I wish more people archived his videos. Um, let's see here. Damn, you're taller than I thought, Star. Yeah, I think I give the perception of being short just because I'm so thin, and sometimes people who are thin can appear to be more short than they are in YouTube videos, at least. I really hope something like PeerTube takes off, or at least has a few people use it. YouTube is garbage. YouTube is pretty bad. It's it's not. It seems like it's just going downhill with the new child protection rules. Not a fun time. Not good. In my opinion. That's why we gotta go to DenpaTube, guys. You know about DenpaTube? Let me put this in here. DenpaTube.com. I was gonna make a video promoting this actually, but our friend Makara, in Red's Discord server, Red Madatsuki Yoshika Miyako Red Admiral Umaru Yoshika Miyako Red, made this website right here. And we don't have very many YouTube videos. I actually have one video on this website that's completely exclusive. Um, so if you want to see an exclusive video of mine, I guess go to DenpaTube. I have 9 subscribers on the website, which seems like an achievement to me. I like this guy. He has his profile picture is literally me giving the middle finger. But yeah, if you want a YouTube alternative, it's here. We have it. Who is the Uncanny Archives? Isn't this J Kid? I think this is J Kid's YouTube channel or DenpaTube channel. But yeah, if you want a YouTube alternative, it's right there. Let's see here. DZ over here, hella mad. It's Susan. Nah, I'm just memeing. I'd learned to forgive her. She just seems kind of incompetent. It's pretty based. Both things, both being hella mad and forgiveness. Thoughts on For Kids, Not For Kids Scare and your channel. I looked at my own, and the titles and thumbnails, and none of them target kids, so the only problem is if McCarthyism 2.0 hits leftists. I feel like that's going to happen pretty soon, because YouTube did a crackdown on pro-Cuba content recently, So if they're doing that, you know, watch out, I guess. Let's. But I don't know. I feel like the not for kids scare isn't going to affect me too much, just because my YouTube channel's relatively obscure. So unless someone like actively targeted my channel, I don't think anything will happen to me. My channel is definitely not advertiser friendly, even though a lot of my videos are monetized. Like I make pretty regular anti-Semitic jokes, which is it's okay. I'm Jewish, but I've made a lot of pretty offensive jokes that the LGBTQ plus community specifically probably would not like, even though I'm a member of that community. I've said quite a number of things. I really like Jew jokes. It's people should be allowed to take the piss out of each other. Like me and DZ Dog, like we beat up on each other in jokes all the time. Like DZ, for context, is black, and because both of us are very close, he allows me to make jokes about black folks, and those aren't the kind of jokes that I would make with anybody if we weren't friends. You know, if we weren't really close with one another, those aren't the kind of jokes that I would make. But like, it it seems like you know, even in the context of like a let's play where like both me and him are just going at one another, is that considered to be too dangerous for YouTube, even though the context is that it's just two friends having fun with one another? I don't know, you know, like I've listened to Slavoj Zizek talk in quite a number of times about how when he was in Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, as the wars were starting to heat up, one of the ways that they had a kind of solidarity between one another was that they would make dirty jokes. You know, they would try and take the piss out of each other, try and see who could make the most dirty, most racist joke about one another's ethnicity, because ethnic tensions were super big in the former Yugoslav republics, and that was the way that they had a kind of solidarity between one another, was being able to make jokes like that. And I think like context for what the joke is and context for how it's being made, when it's being made, matters a lot. And it seems like the politically correct police at this point don't take context into context. And so I don't know. Maybe I'll be shot down for making jokes like that with friends on the channel, or without. I have no idea. Let's see. TFW, trapped in the desert my whole life. Which part of the desert are you in? You kind of give me Arizona vibes. That's what I'm thinking. Arizona vibes. That's the feeling I get. Yes, Star, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and yes, Star and I are Southern boys. I'm about to strike a JoJo pose. That's pretty based. I appreciate, even though I'm not the biggest JoJo fan, I always like the poses. They're pretty cool. Glad to have another Southern fellow in this chat. TFW, start wage slaving in 5 days. I want to stay a neat. Oh no. What are you? What's your job gonna be? I330. I'm interested as to what your job is going to be. What are your favorite videos of his? I think you mean hiding in my room. Uh, it's kind of hard because I like so many of his videos. My favorite video, I guess, would one of my favorites at least, was the one where he talked about how he relates to Elliot Rodger, and that video's gone now. But that was such a fascinating video because, like, contemporarily speaking, like, he's not normal, but, you know, he wouldn't harm anyone. So it was kind of interesting seeing someone who isn't violent talk about relating to a really violent guy, especially because both of them are half Malaysian, half white. So I thought that was a very interesting video. It was like 18 minutes long of him talking about his relationship with Elliot Rodger. I like the video where he fell down in a supermarket and recorded it. Like, he had an anxiety attack and just collapsed in a supermarket. It was really interesting. Um, First time hearing of PeerTube. Yeah, PeerTube is basically like a peer-to-peer service to post videos. Um, let's see here. Um, uh, I've been moving my vids to BitChute, but I doubt that'll last long, knowing how the Brits are with censorship. Yeah, I don't think BitChute's gonna last very long because it's like with all of these YouTube alternatives, they if they can't afford the server space, then they eventually die out. I think DenpaTube will last a little bit longer. Denpa, DENPA tube.com. I think that'll last a little bit longer just because it's so obscure that like very few people are posting videos on it. Whereas with these other websites, people will incessantly spam their videos there until they just can't afford server space. I miss Eric. Who is Eric? I don't know who that is. Um, I was just gonna ask that. Lol, how do you spell it? Yeah, Denpatube as in DENPA tube.com. What is anti-Semitism? Lol, you're cool, dude. People should be allowed. I completely agree. I agree. Um, you're part of LGBT. Yes, I am. It's strange. I can't quite tell if I'm bisexual or asexual. I think I'm just a bisexual person with a really really low libido, who has very little interest in sex. I think that's what I am. It's confusing. Because I've switched between one another constantly. I don't think I'm exactly asexual. I'm just kind of asexual. But yes, I am bi. Um, Apparently, I'd like to know why too. Um, I make hella bad black jokes. It's cool. My friend group is like the Phantom Thieves. We're all super different and joke around. We love each other, so I get in friend joking. Nice. Um, how long does it take a black woman to poop? 9 months. I don't get that joke. Trapped in Mojave. Oh no. So lived where you once did. So you're in Las Vegas, or around Las Vegas at least. Oh no. It's too hot there. I didn't like Nevada very much. I like the aesthetic of all the big decadent casinos, but other than that, not my thing. Phantom Thieves, is that a reference for Persona? Oh, I see. Okay. Software engineering apprentice programming socks job. I mean, that's not as bad. That's not as bad as other jobs that you could have. At least with software engineering, you can like sit at the computer most of the days. Um, the joke was a black woman births a child every 9 months. Oh boy. I get paid below minimum wage because I'll be an apprentice. That's sad. YouTube turning my crying face into an emoji. Oh no, it's Susan. She's trying to get us all to conform to standards. I don't like her. How am I? I need to use my Jewish energy to become an elite and remove her. I'm opening my third eye at this moment. It was 80 degrees yesterday in the middle of fucking November. Oh no. Yeah, I was there. I was there in November ish around that time, and it was pretty hot. It was way too hot. I didn't like it. I cannot stand hot weather. Like I wouldn't be able to live continually in like Louisiana where Deez lives, because like I know in Louisiana it gets like what like 100 degrees in the summertime or something like that. And I'm so bad. I'm so bad with hot weather. I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. I'm just so white that that I'd much rather be in the cold than in the hot weather all the time. That going out like even in like 70-degree weather for me is sometimes too much. I prefer the cold so much more. Because at least with the cold, like you can control how much of it you experience. You can put on a coat, you can dress really nicely, and you can deal with the feeling. But with the hot, you're just forced to be submerged into it, and that's really, really difficult. I wouldn't be able to do that continuously. I thought the summers in Tennessee were bad, and that's like a moderate state in terms of weather, you know? I almost actually moved to Las Vegas, Nevada for an editing job. It is very hot. Yeah, I don't know how well that would have went. I know a lot of people get evicted in Nevada, I think. Maybe. There were so many homeless people in Nevada. Let me tell you, going to Las Vegas and going to downtown, I have never seen that level of poverty in my entire life. It was eye-opening. And, you know, I'm someone who, like, knew people who died because of heroin addictions, you know? I lived in a really poor part of Tennessee where, like, I would see rednecks with like toilets and stuff out in their front yard. You know, I would go to a friend's house and I would see like chickens running around everywhere that didn't even have cages. People who were literate, but like they couldn't read very well. They weren't very educated. They had to be on, you know, some form of SSI or food stamps. Like almost everyone had to be on food stamps where I lived. So I lived in a fairly impoverished place, like a house that was actually right near where I lived, if you went down the road, actually exploded because there was a meth lab there, and they had some kind of accident with meth, and so it exploded. That was near where I lived, a meth lab explosion. The people dying from heroin overdoses that my family knew. So it's interesting. It's interesting looking at that, and then kind of comparing that poverty that I grew up around to going to Las Vegas and just seeing people everywhere who were poor. And downtown specifically, like there were a fuck ton of poor people in downtown. Like we would be driving and there would just be lines upon lines upon lines of homeless people trying as hard as they could to get to get basic services, to get basic shelter, and most of them were denied because there were too many, and so they had to stay on the street. I was constantly being asked for money. I was constantly being asked for cigarettes by people who were like rambling to themselves. That level of poverty I had never seen in my entire life, and that was being someone who lived in an extremely impoverished environment, and it was it was eye-opening. It changed my view on the world a lot. And I became a little bit more radical than I already was. Like, I was already a pretty radical guy, but I became even more radical as a result of seeing that. It was absolutely heartbreaking. I'm late. Who's Susan? We're talking about Susan Watchkucky or whatever her name is. That Polish bitch who runs YouTube. Your videos are very comfy. Thank you. Now, I try to make them comfy. I try to maximize the aesthetic of genuinity. I don't quite like manufactured authenticity, which we often see on the YouTube platform nowadays. I even if it's at the detriment of the video's quality, I like trying to make them as real as they possibly can be, which I personally identify with comfiness. So I'm glad I've been able to be successful in that goal, at least with you. It rained continuously for 3 hours last night, longest I've seen in my entire life. Man, I love the rain. I feel so bad for you that 3 hours is the longest you can get. I've had like entire days that have rained. It's interesting, when I lived in Maine, it would like rain for like a week or longer, just every single day. It was beautiful. Yeah, Louisiana is god-awfully hot. I swear I get darker each year. I prefer the cold too, but I think black colors absorb heat, whereas white is the opposite. But you are right, you can always put more clothes on if you're cold. I once cooked an egg on the ground because it was so hot. Oh boy. I don't see poverty often. I'm decently wealthy, I guess you could say. I think a lot of NEETs are. Like a lot of NEETs are more wealthy because they have the freedom. They have the freedom to be NEETs. In the times that I were a NEET, I just barely ever ate. I guess you could say freedom over bread. Only degenerate Americans would cage chickens. Americans are pretty big degenerates, and I'm saying this as someone who like actually hates British people. Like genuine hatred for British people. I apologize, I330, you're a good guy. But like the vast majority of Brits, I fucking hate those people. Like, I'm not a racist guy. I'm not a prejudiced guy, but British people, there's something about them. It's like the one group of people that I would point to, and I would say have genuine hatred for them. I've just had so many negative experiences with Brits. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about them specifically that makes them distinctly evil. It's very strange. I try not to be prejudiced, but it's very, very easy for me to get prejudiced with British people. Um, let's see here. Most of the people living under bridges and those old diapated silver mining houses are a few miles from my house. I see. Yeah, we're degenerates, fucking Americans. I mean, I agree. It seems like the number of functional illiterates is growing in these places. It seems so, yeah. Yeah, we avoid downtown. I had to stay in a hotel in downtown, and I actually heard like a guy like beating his wife in a hotel room. Like I went to this hotel. I can't was it called Casablanca? Casa de Blanca Hotel. It was a really rundown hotel. Like it looked like people were like living there or something. The internet didn't work. Interestingly enough, North Las Vegas had their own public internet that I think they used to spy on people. I have no proof for that, but I used their public Wi-Fi that just the city provided. It was really interesting. But I went to this hotel, and like I was walking on top of the like I went up the stairs and I was walking to the second balcony. And as I was walking through, this like large man was like yelling at his wife as the door was opened, and he was like threatening to hit her as I was walking by. I witnessed this. He didn't care that I walked by. I thought I was gonna get hit. But like he closed the door that night, and I could hear him like audibly like hitting his wife and her like screaming. So it was very weird going to that hotel. That downtown and North Las Vegas. I guess they have some real problems. I don't know. Middle America has been forgotten, sadly. Yeah, it makes me very sad that is the way that it is. Let's see here. Do just eat fry high fructose corn syrup, meat, glue, GMO, McDonald's, LMAO. I see. No females in this chat, please. Women are fine. I don't understand this hatred of women that, like, Red Modatsuki has. I mean, I can kind of understand it. I respect him, but at the same time, at the same time, I completely disagree with him on that. He's still my best friend, though. There's a lot of incel folks who really hate women who watch my channel. And I try to understand the struggle, and I respect them, but I don't understand the meme, like, oh, no females, guys, we gotta get rid of women. It's weird. I put the cell phone under the pillow to listen to the videos staring at the ceiling. Nice! That is really comfy, but I like females. Yeah, females are fine. LMAO. It's just banter. Amerimuts don't understand. I mean, like I think there's a difference between making jokes and kind of like, you know, slashing at people in joke form and just being an asshole. Like, British people are just pretentious assholes in debates, in conversation, in jokes. They're just assholes. Like, I don't know any other way to... And somehow, like, Britain has the stereotypical idea that they're, like, the most polite and kind people on earth. You know, ethics, this and that. Oh, yes, the queen, she is the ego ideal. I don't experience it. FF successfully... Oh, here we are. Here we are. No. We're back. I think we're back. MI6 took him down. I've always had... Wait a minute. I think it's working. They got him. No. They couldn't have gotten me. Come on. Oh, no. Now there's a fucking ad. Come on. Come on, live stream. Please work. Please work. You've got... Oh, there it goes. Okay. We're working again. MI6 didn't get me. MK Ultra didn't get me. I'm back. I'm back. Woo! Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Redo it. Okay. Come on. Come on, live stream. Come on. We can do it. We're the little engine that could over here. Come on. Come on. Okay. What the fuck? Experiencing interruptions. God damn it. Why do you do this? Why? Let's see here. I think it's kind of functioning. Sort of. Okay. Is it working? I have to... Okay, for some reason I have to reopen the stream every single time. I apologize. Let's see here. Maybe the crooked teeth of fish and chips. Why do they call them chips? They're fries! They're called fries! Anyway. The revolution runs through your blood, Star. Thank you. Um, yeah, no, I appreciate I appreciate recognizing the revolutionary energy. It's something that I actually pride myself on. I like the fact that I can tap into that mindset. Um, let's see here. Honestly, not to be that guy, but the further you move away from England, the better. I completely agree. I mean London. Yeah, London seems terrible. London is terrible. It's just foreigners nowadays. Um, beating his wife. Hello, base department. Yeah, it's pretty based, if I must say. Um, let's see here. Star walking into the hotel room. Can I join in? No, that's mean. Don't say that. Don't say that. Let's see here. Women. In a meme arrow. Hey Star. Hey Anon. How are you doing? Star, you disgust me. Good. Females gross face. Hello Star. First time I catch one of your lives. Hey, glad to have you here. Glad to have you on board. Hopefully it doesn't error out again. Their Parliament videos are really funny, though. Yeah, I agree. I love watching British Parliament videos. I always laugh. Like, there's this video called Your Mom on YouTube. Let me look it up. Let me see if I can find it. Your Mom. Hopefully the stream doesn't die all of a sudden. Was it Corbin who said it? I think it was Corbin. Motherly advice. I'm looking for the video that's just called Your Mom. Oh god, The Guardian. Where is it? Oh, here it is. This video. This video is hilarious. I don't know why. I don't know why I find this video so funny. I think I know what my mother would say. I don't know why. They literally getting into arguments over one another's mothers. It's hilarious. What British people have you met? It's IRL. I haven't met very many of them. Most of them have just been online, but pretty much unilaterally, like, except for you, I330, they've been terrible. Let's see, Rip, F, no, I'm back, don't, let's see, I've always had a love for the Yorkshire Glasgow accent. Well, that's because they're Scots. Scots are great. Scots are great. I love Scots. Scottish independence. Woo! I support Scottish independence super strong. Also, liberate Northern Ireland. Reunify. Let's see here. Let's see. They got him. Look at what they did to my boy. This man is a spy. This is not outlaw. He doesn't ad block his own channel. I mean, I'm on mobile, so. Let's see. F, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The glow in the dark got him again. Back. They got him. It's over. The queen doing her best to take down Star. I could see it, to be honest. If I lived in the UK, I'd be put in jail immediately for half of the jokes I make. They always trying to keep us kings down. Never put a fellow king down. London is a foul place. I completely agree. Scots are based. Completely agree. I love Scots. I'm descended of some Anglos. Does that count? Yorkshire isn't Scot, you mutt. There is this one British woman my mom knows that's pretty nice. That's good. Again, I'm not saying that they're all bad. It's just that, like, 95% of them are. I'm a Brit as well. Okay, I guess Maximum Void is good too. Star, what books have you been reading to make your videos better? I have not been reading nearly as much as I used to, but there is one book that I currently, it's on my shelf. I can't reach it all the way from over here, but it's called Finally Some Good News. It's by this author, Delicious Tacos. Let me, Finally Some Good News, Delicious Tacos. It's an interesting book. It's about these two bird watchers who, basically after the world ends, actually is there a way I can fix this? Yeah, let me fix the aspect ratio or resolution, whatever, on this video, because it's like zoomed in to an insane degree, because I was trying to show you the proper thing. Where is it? Okay. This is hard. Guys, I'm retarded. Is there like a... I need to join a safe space for retarded people. Um, let's see here. But I've been reading this book. It's Two Birdwatchers Survive a Nuclear Holocaust is the basic idea of the book. And so it's kind of just vignettes of their lives before the nuclear holocaust happens and of them having conversations with one another. I haven't finished it yet, but it's a pretty fun book. Um, it was released relatively recently. It's kind of like indie fiction. Um, Other than that, I've been reading a little bit of The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein, which basically talks about the economic shock therapy that existed in the 90s throughout Russia and other parts of the world. The book is like over 600 pages, so I'm kind of taking my time with it. It's a bit too long, but it's like super in depth, so I want to finish that at least before the year is over. Interesting book. Other than that, I haven't really been reading much of anything. Um, I always thought Yorkshire was Scott. Well, I guess the Secret Garden lied to me. But I'm glad you think my videos have been better. I want to read more. There are more things that I want to read. My friend was reading the Book of Disquiet recently, and I want to read the Book of Disquiet because it seems like a fun book. Pretty depressing, most likely, but can't say a dilapidated, but knows how to say the word vignette. Based. Did I say vignette at one point in the stream? I don't know what these words are. They're strange. Why do you guys call gas petrol? It's called gas. It's not petrol, it's gas. It's so weird. I don't understand you people with your weird pedophile language. Lol, dilapidated. I've been reading Stephen King books recently. I don't really like Stephen King very much. I think he's kind of overrated. But let's see, my racism aside, um I like Stephen King's on writing because the advice he gives is to write as much as possible, which is good advice. The only it's petrol because it's petroleum, you nuts. I disagree. It's called a gas. It's called a gas. I'm not gonna use that word. Susan's gonna get me, but it's I don't understand, man. It's like the only thing you guys do is call blimey, call blimey. I'm gonna get me some petrol before Brexit. Call blimey. It's weird. I don't understand. Whoa, that's a hot take, Star. I guess it is a hot take. A lot of people, a lot of like normies in school really liked Stephen King books, but I never liked them. Last book I read, I think, was To Kill a Mockingbird like 9 months ago. Was very good. Nice. To Kill a Mockingbird was a fun book. I read it in school like 3 years ago. I liked it. Nuns. Let's see here. Thoughts on Tesla stock? I don't keep up with the stock market. Did something happen? Liquor and McDonald's, great, having a good old time. Nice. I don't drink very often anymore because I don't want to kill myself and my brain cells. And also the last time I got drunk, I experienced like a fuck ton of like chest and brain pain. My entire body was experiencing quite a bad experience. And so I don't drink anymore, essentially. At least not like the only let's see, change to Windows 7 Basic. The only alcohol I'd be willing to drink is something with like 20% alcohol or something that's like really low. Because I always end up drinking whiskey, even though I hate whiskey. I fucking hate it, but it's just what's around, and I would drink it anyway. And I would actually hold my nose. Like I would put my hands around my nose and drink it as fast as possible because I wanted to get drunk, but I just hated the taste of it. Do you still talk to Yuri? I have no idea who Yuri is. Could you tell me who that is? I don't know who Yuri is. Uh, Windows 7 is based, but not using Arrow is cringe. Windows 7 is pretty based. Based Windows 7 Chad. Have to wait till Brexit's done so I can finally get a passport. Oof. I guess Luke Rothwell is also the only other good British person. My ardent racism aside. Uh, Yuri Tarde? I don't know who that guy is. Um, that was a weird way to ask about the Bolivia coup. I think it's a pretty terrible thing that's going on there. Like, I recently saw that a president I sucked 50 dicks in college recently made like a declaration that the police could kill unarmed protesters if they wanted to. Uh, doesn't sound too good to me. It's interesting because President I sucked 50 dicks in college seems to have gotten her party like 4% in the elections. Like they have like 10 seats in the Senate or the parliament or whatever. And they have 10 seats and their party got 4% in the election. Like they're clearly not meant to be there democratically at all. But she's able to come out here and say, "Oh, let's kill protesters for being unarmed and supporting Evo Morales." Not cool. Not cool. It seems like it's going to get worse. The one, I guess, ray of hope or what's the word? Glimmer of optimism I think we have is that the largest trade union in Bolivia says that they're going to do a strike in support of Evo Morales. So I think that's good. But it does not look good to me at all, the situation going on there. I'm very, very worried for the people, especially the indigenous people, because, like, the president straight up said that the indigenous people are satanic, and, like, there's tweets of her saying that, like, they're satanic Indians who are taking the Bible away from Bolivia, which is fucking insane, so, yeah, alcohol is disgusting. But being drunk is fucking amazing. I like vodka. I like drinking vodka with orange juice. Vodka and orange juice is very good. I like wine. Um, but most alcohol is at least kind of okay. It's just whiskey that's terrible. But that's what I always have. Um, there's an anime called Yokohama Kayadashi Kiyoko. It's a peaceful post-apocalypse with robot girls in Japan after the environmental catastrophe. Half of the land is underwater and very comfy. It's just some OVAs, everything is beautiful watercolors, and the soundtrack is Chronoho music. Yeah, no, I love Yokohama Kayadashi Kiyoko. It's one of my favorite anime. I think I gave it like a 9 out of 10 or something. I used to have it at a 10 out of 10, but over time I took my score down. And so it's quite a great show. Yokohama Shopping Log. Check it out. Good stuff. I identify with the sort of silent comfiness that it has, the way that the air of the show is expressed through very little dialogue, just long visuals. The emotions they're able to communicate through that is very, very comforting. The idea of disaster anime, post-apocalypse anime, that attempts to be comforting and soothing like Iyashike is really fascinating to me. I like shows like that a lot. Another show that I really like is Girls Last Tour. If you haven't seen Girls Last Tour, it's very, very good. Um, Daniel's friend Casey went back to Hong Kong. Sad face. Oh no. Hopefully he doesn't get lynched. I saw a video of some of the Hong Kong rioters. What they did was they took like a thing of gasoline and they dumped it on a Taiwanese guy because they thought he was a mainlander. So they dumped gasoline on him and attempted to light him on fire. Fucking insane. Like, just for thinking he was a mainlander. And there's, like, a bunch of instances like that of them, like, getting together and, like, ganging up on elderly people and just beating the shit out of them until they bleed. It's really, really gnarly stuff. I hope Casey is alright. Um, 56 videos so far, 14.3 gigabytes would go faster, but YouTube is throttling my speed. Ah, what are you using to well, what are you using to download the videos? Because I remember seeing what was it? I can't remember. I remember seeing, was it YouTube DL? I think it was called, was like this thing that you can put. It's this thing that you can put in the Linux terminal, and it'll just download an entire channel's backlog at once. It's a very cool program. I like YouTube DL a lot. Um, Watch Sucking 50. That is premarital sex. Not very Christian. Shake my head. Fundamentalist. Yeah, I use that meme because the fake president, the Juan Guaido of Bolivia, looks like a whore. So I like to demean her because I have no respect for her as a human being. Imagine actually caring about politics. Imagine not just wanting nuclear obliteration. I don't care so much about politics anymore. I just kind of keep up with it for entertainment. Like I said in my video, I've kind of become a political nihilist. I don't have very much optimism anymore, but I don't know. That studying politics and history has just always been something I'm fascinated by. So if I get questions about it, I usually just decline to answer or I give an answer. I don't talk about it nearly as much as I used to because I've kind of lost the capacity to be optimistic about the situation in the world. Nuclear obliteration coming soon, most likely. So I'm on the doomer train with you on that front, but I still have opinions just because I've had like the same political opinions for like 3 years now. Like they've basically stayed the same. So I'm because I'm so consistent, I can just give an answer really fast. Um, let's see. Vodka alone is great. Vodka alone is too much. Like I can drink it, if I try hard enough. It's difficult. Let's see here. Yikes, what the fuck? Yeah, Casey was telling me that the universities are now war zones. Unfortunately, they are. Like, I saw a video of, there was like this SWAT car of police, that were coming, and they hadn't even attacked the protesters. No, like, no pre-established attack was made, but the protesters just straight up took Molotov cocktails and blew up the police truck. It's like I don't support some of the police brutality that the Hong Kong police have obviously done. You know, there are clearly mistakes, ginormous mistakes that the Hong Kong police have made, but like blowing up a police car with Molotov cocktails before they've even done anything is fucking insane to me. These people are so horrible. I agree. Really, really terrible, really just terrible violence they're taking part in. They killed a man with a brick. I know, like, it was like an old guy. It's just insane. I don't understand the amount of heartlessness that these people would have to have. Um, Corinho is the Madlon music playing behind the scenery. It's over Afro-Brazilian rhythms with more European tunes and harmony. Nice. Latin America is unstable and unsustainable. It's unfortunate too because like Bolivia was the most one of the most successful Latin American economies. They had the highest GDP growth in all of Latin America. They built, thousands of hospitals and schools and gymnasiums under Evo Morales. It's interesting because people say that like in Venezuela, like the reason why Venezuela did bad was because they raised the minimum wage, but in Bolivia they had raised the minimum wage by like 1,000% or something. It was like a huge raise. Like I don't remember what the percentage points were, and inflation stayed completely stable. They nationalized the oil and gas industries, and they used the money from that in order to help the people. They cut poverty in half over like the span of like 7 years or something. It was an insane amount of progress that they made. And so they had to remove Evo Morales because it was an example of a successful leftist, socialist economy. Like there was not a single negative thing you could say about the Bolivian economy because they just did so well, you know? And this isn't coming from like leftist news sources. This is coming from like the World Bank and the Financial Times, fairly right wing institutions with a lot of powerful money within them. And yet those statistics can be used as an obvious and easy defense of Bolivia. And so it was a really terrible thing. We just come in and use the Monroe Doctrine and we make these countries that are lifting themselves up out of poverty. We make these countries that are lifting themselves up out of poverty into unstable messes through our proxies, through our proxies in Latin America, and so forth. It's really just terrible stuff. It's that we're afraid of countries that are lifting themselves up by their bootstraps. We want our foreign corporations to look at like what Bolivia was like in the 1990s and before, when they were doing these kind of shock therapy economics. They had water privatization, and so people weren't allowed to collect water. It was a federal offense. And so a lot of people didn't have access to clean water. They didn't have access to well-paying jobs, constant starvation, and so forth. And so it's really bad stuff. Doomer is the new boomer. I completely disagree. I think Doomer is just the logical conclusion. Doomer is just logical. Yo, Star, finally glad to catch your stream. I'm glad for you to catch the stream as well. Hong Kong is just a war zone now, pretty much. Too pussy to drink vodka, heh. I mean, it's not so much that, like, I'm afraid to drink it or that it's too intense. It's more so that, drinking it over time is just unpleasant. Like, I can drink a number of shots. Like, no thank you, he can't drink it by itself at all because it's too intense for him. But I can only drink a few shots and then I'm done. You have to mix it with orange juice because orange juice takes away the kind of burning sensation that it has. By the way, Star, there's a YouTube channel called Popular Front about current civil unrest all over the world, which you may like. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. It's always Jews outlaw. The interesting thing is that, like, Israel is basically just like a puppet of the U.S. If like Israel wasn't a complete puppet, then in a sense you would be kind of correct. But if the U.S. just kind of uses the Zionist factions around the world to their own ends. I don't quite see it. The dissolution of Bolivia would be better for Bolivians. They would organize in smaller communities like the Aymara's always done. Evo and the politicians don't respect the autonomy of the Indios. I mean, he was from indigenous background himself, and the indigenous people like had like huge gains economically and politically under Evo Morales. So I don't like this idea of just small decentralized communities, all of the countries breaking into their own little tiny places. I don't like it. I don't like this idea because I don't think it could ever work. I don't think little tiny countries all split apart into one another could have much political or economic viability, because when you have a country, you have different economic elements within them. And so, like, let's say that one part of the country is really good at producing oil, and then the other side is made for farming. You kind of have to have the two of them together, or you're not going to be able to substantially raise people out of poverty. They kind of have to work together. I like the idea of autonomous regions. Like, you have autonomous regions for specific ethnic groups that historically belong to that place and or have been historically oppressed and so forth. But beyond that, I don't like the idea of countries just being made into their own little autonomous communities that are like entirely separate from the nation, because you need the larger nation to be able to use the economy to the fullest extent, essentially. The USA is Israel's puppet. Fuck you, Kike, and fuck politics. I mean, I don't I don't quite understand how you could think that. Like, Israel does interfere in U.S. politics, like, that is a fact. But I don't understand how you could think the USA is Israel's puppet. Unless there's, like some evidence that I haven't seen. Um, unless there's information that I'm not aware of. I don't see how you could think that, because the USA pretty much politically and economically dominates Israel in a lot of ways, and historically have always done that. Um, if you could give an example, I would be interested in hearing it, but I haven't seen an example of that besides like just general like some interference that Israel has done in USA. But I think the USA's interference is much more prevalent in Israel. Good vodka doesn't burn. Maybe I just haven't had good vodka then. Two things I can never understand: nationalism and competition. Um, I don't quite understand those things too well either. Um, Nationalism I can at least kind of understand, in the sense that people want to belong to a group that's larger than themselves. But when it starts becoming, oh, my ethnicity is better than yours and that kind of stuff, it's when it becomes fairly dangerous. But just having pride in your country, I think, can be a good thing, as long as the pride doesn't supersede your ability to criticize the country. Um, why do you have to force different people to associate under the same democratic state? Different bodies have always traded between themselves. Um, because the taxation that and the revenues that have gained from the country as a whole, without, if you're talking about development, organic communities impose less restrictive taxes on enterprises than Leviathan, as everything is not suited to their needs. Well, the income that's generated from having a larger state lifts up the smaller communities that have less resources to be able to allow them to get more resources, to produce more in their own little places. Like, countries aren't equally spread out. If you split any country in half, you're going to have a situation in which very well one part of the country could have much more resources economically and developmentally than the other part of the country. And so you kind of need that larger part to be able to help build and construct the other part. And as well, like, I think if you asked most of the people, maybe not now, but if you asked most of the people, they would support living in the same country. Like, I don't think the vast majority of people who live in their country want their countries to split apart. I just don't think that's the case. So it isn't so much that you're imposing your will on other people. It's more so that the people, I think, generally realize that having a larger country is more advantageous than not. Um, USS Liberty incident and Lavon affair. I know, like, Netanyahu has, like, come before Congress and stuff and has influenced, U.S. affairs. Like, you have, like, the Israel lobby and this kind of stuff. Um, but the Lavon affair was in Egypt. I don't, I don't really know what that has to do with them. I don't know what that has to do with them controlling the USA. That was them trying to influence Egypt with, like, the Muslim Brotherhood and stuff. What was the USS Liberty incident? I don't even remember. Let me Google this. That sounds more closely related to the USA. Let me look this up. Incident. Was an attack on the United States by an Israeli Air Force. Oh, okay. It was during the it was during the 6-Day War. I don't know enough about the 6-Day War to accurately comment on that. I know that every now and again, governments that are allied with one another have skirmishes, depending on the territory and the geopolitical context at the time. I don't think skirmishes in and of themselves are evidence of one side dominating the other. Um, let's see here. I mean, Israel basically wouldn't exist without U.S. support. Um, Let's see here. Of labor is inseparable from human progress. How many anarchist communes have gotten humans into space? Only large, organized, coordinated, efficient institutions are capable of this. Yes, I agree. Um, the that is one of the biggest problems with this idea of just having small, decentralized communities is that large development doesn't occur. I don't care about space or the pride of megalomaniac projects like that. I care about the health and liberty of my family and friends, my nation a little bit after. Um, I think technological progress in these things are good for the development of humanity in terms of like, oh, if the planet dies, let's go to Mars or something like that. It's good in terms of just science, human progress developing, the economy developing. But if you care particularly about the health and liberty of your nation, then I think that's an argument more for my point because, as I said, if the economy isn't what's the word? Um, if the economy isn't equally divided amongst itself, if other areas are more poor than the others, then you kind of need like the larger city urban areas to uh, take the wealth that they generate and then put it into having hospitals in those areas. The U.S. threw money at space when its people were starving. No, I agree, but who was the country put the first? Who was the country that put the first? That went to outer space first. Like the USA was putting an insane amount of money into space in order to catch up with the Soviets. But like the Soviets were able to do Sputnik and all of that stuff while providing a universal job to everybody, while providing universal health care to everybody, good wages in which the people were able to eat relatively well, pensions, retirement ages for, women at like 58 and retirement ages for men at like 62. They took care of their people quite well. And I have a massive amount of criticisms of the country in terms of human rights and so forth, but it's undeniable the economic and social success that was made in the country in terms of lifting people up out of poverty and being able to take care of their people very well. And this was while, putting the first man in outer space. This was while having the first space satellite. And so it's very easily possible to put money and resources into space and into space travel whilst also taking care of the people. The reason the U.S. did it that way is because the U.S. is a capitalist country that doesn't have the means of production socialized to the extent that profits matter more than profits matter less than people. Um, Health is difficult, arguably more difficult than rocket science. The best healthcare systems in the world have always been socialized healthcare systems ran by the national state. Always. That is true. Um, I have never heard of the USSR being described as having a good quality of life. That's because a lot of the hard economic data, like the objective data from like the World Bank and this kind of stuff, isn't usually shown. Usually what we hear is Hole Amador, a million people died, and this kind of stuff. We don't hear about the regular economic successes that USSR made. Actually, let me give an example. There's a CIA on the Soviet diet. This is one of my favorite things to look at. Is that you go to the CIA's website, and they released this. It was approved for release in 2007. American and Soviet citizens eat about the same amount of food each day, but the Soviet diet may be more nutritious. And then it goes on and explains like the different percentage points of these kind of things. So it's like even the CIA in their own in their own reporting, like the data that they used on the country to be able to on the country being able to you know research how the country functioned and so on for espionage sake, being able to have geopolitical advantage. they admit in their own documents that people there lived better than they did in America in terms of nutrition, at least. Um, so, if you look far enough into the data, then it tells you otherwise. Um, yeah, I don't think communes care about sending things into space. A lot of people still worship Stalin in Central Asia. They got statues and pictures of him in their houses. Um, I mean, it's because at that point, at that point in time, regardless of the criticisms of him, and I have many, the country was able to lift itself up by its bootstraps and develop the fastest growing economy of the 20th century, one of the fastest growing economies in history. You don't look at a country that was the poorest in all of Europe, one of the poorest in the world, that just transformed into a global superpower in the period of only a few decades, whilst also fighting back 16 different countries that invaded it, as well as the Nazis, which were a superpower. With the amount of infrastructure, the amount of people who died, 30 million almost, in World War II, and in other wars previously. That amount of economic growth that they had, that the amount of infrastructure that was made, would not have been possible in a country with good geographic and geopolitical advantages, much less a country that was in the dire straits that Russia was in. And so it's one of the most successful achievements that history has ever had, was the development that occurred under the Stalin period in the Soviet Union. And that's just an objective fact. You can't look away from it. And again, I have as many criticisms of Stalin as anybody else. But let's see, most people lived in the USSR view its dissolution as a bad thing, something like 79% in a Pew Research poll. And it isn't just that it isn't just Pew Research. Like, you can find poll after poll after poll, things like the Victims of Communism Foundation and the BBC and a number of other large-scale right-wing centrist institutions say over and over and over again, as if it's a national outrage, that people in the former Soviet countries, as well as Russia, generally favor their time in the Soviet Union. They think life was better. And if you look at the economic shock therapy that existed in those countries thereafter, the fact that in the 90s people in Russia had mass death, millions of people dying because of the free market reforms under Yeltsin, under the guise of the World Bank and Jeffrey Sachs and these other, neoliberal institutions, it makes perfect sense that they would want to go back to having a universal job, to having universal health care. There was an old saying. It was in the Soviet Union, the stores are empty, but the fridges are full. And then afterwards, it was the stores are full, but the fridges are empty. It's as a result of economic catastrophe. Having a system, capitalism, that's built around that's built around making things for profit rather than for human need. So let's see here. Instead of launching monkeys into space, the USSR should take care of its leakages and structural problems in commie block apartments. Better yet, quit invading other peoples. The USSR did not invade other countries. I don't quite understand when. When did they ever invade another country? But the apartments were pretty good. Like, it's interesting because you look at the apartments from the outside and they look like these small apartments, but when you go on the inside, they were like large living spaces, like big living spaces. And let's not forget, this was universal housing. You have people in Russia now that are regularly homeless all over the place. You got Glopniks and stuff, and this was universal housing that of course, people in some of the more poor areas of the country didn't have as good housing, but it was improving. But I don't, this idea that there were constant leakages and this kind of stuff, that's a falsehood. It's not true. The housing was quality enough that now many of the people, many of the people still live in those old Soviet apartments. So I disagree. The USSR invaded Finland, Afghanistan, and Poland. They never invaded Poland. There was a border with Belarus and Ukraine. That there was a long-standing border dispute there. That they took back those parts of Belarus and Ukraine. They did not invade Poland. Afghanistan, they never invaded Afghanistan. Afghanistan had a revolution. They overthrew the monarchy. The Communist Party in Afghanistan was very popular. They overthrew the monarchy, and then the USA started funding jihadist forces, more specifically Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda. And so the USSR defended the socialist government in Afghanistan. That is not the same as invading the country. The country had a popular revolution, and then there were terrorists in the country, Al Qaeda, funded by the USA, so I don't quite understand this idea that they quote unquote invaded Afghanistan. They were defending the government. That was their mission, was to defend the revolutionary government in Afghanistan. They did not invade the country. Finland is a fairly nuanced case. I could see you arguing that the Winter War was an invasion of Finland. So I mean that's the closest thing to invasion that I think you would be correct on. Let's see. Well, guys, I'm gonna try to be productive later, guys. Let's see. Yeah, see you later, DZ Dog. I didn't even know he was still in the chat. If I'm in a Kazakh monastery being burnt and ransacked by atheist Reds, I don't care about the opinion of people in Moscow. But it's interesting because the Poles in Kyrgyzstan, or Kyrgyzstan rather, and Kazakhstan have a great degree of Soviet nostalgia. I think there's actually more in Kyrgyzstan than Kazakhstan. It isn't just Pole after Pole in Russia, it's Pole after Pole in all of the former Soviet republics, almost. Not Lithuania and not, what's the other one, Estonia. There's a degree of nostalgia there, but in all of the former Soviet republics, it's there. Even East Germany. Like, East Germany, it wasn't part of the Soviet Union, it was part of the Soviet bloc, but East Germany, like, something like 75% of the people support the German Democratic Republic going back to socialism rather than being in capitalism now. Let's see here. What was I going to say? There's a further point I was going to make. My country of Brazil has nostalgia for the military CIA-backed dictatorship as well. And I'm sure there are certain people who lived in Brazil who were very racist against other groups of peoples, who, didn't quite like the, indigenous people or whatever. There were probably people who were more wealthy under the military junta in Brazil, because of less taxation and stuff like that. But that's not quite the same as the economy being massively better. People's lives, statistically, like factually, statistically being massively better under the USSR and other socialist countries in comparison to now, and them having widespread, vast majority support. It's the statistics, the real economic data of what their lives were like, aligning with the vast majority of people having popular nostalgia for it. So it's not the same. It's not the same kind of comparison. What was I gonna say? Most of the so there was a point. Oh, okay. So there were a number of churches that were torn down at the beginning of the Russian Revolution, because during any revolution there are going to be factions that have less guidance over them, that are just kind of doing things that aren't centrally that aren't centrally commanded per se, and so mistakes are going to be made. Very similar things happened in the American Revolution, of people's homes and monuments and so on being torn down, and quite terrible human rights abuses occurring. It happens in every revolution. But afterwards, the language of Uzbekistan, the language of Kazakhstan, the language of Ukraine. Fun fact, the Ukrainian language would not exist anymore without the Soviet Union, at least in the most popular way that it does. They promoted these languages. They promoted these local cultures. The government had played an active role in the national question, is that Kazakhstan and other Muslim republics, other larger republics like Uzbekistan, and larger republics like Belarus and Ukraine had the ability to secede. That was in the Soviet constitution. They could secede. They could become their own countries if they wanted to democratically. So the fact that the government actively promoted their culture and language, the fact that they had the ability and the right to secede as a nation in the constitution, I don't think aligns very well with your propaganda. I don't think the historical reality is quite the same as what you're saying. Was there atheist education? Yes. The young pioneers, if you were a young pioneer, usually you were an atheist because there was strong atheist education. Do I support authoritarianism in that way, to that extent? No, because it degrades the culture, and that was a mistake that the Soviet Union made, promoting atheism to such an extent that they did, that it began to erode that culture to an extent. But you were still allowed to be a Muslim. You were still allowed to be a Christian, a Jew. In fact, there was a Jewish autonomous region, Birdu They literally made an autonomous region just for Jews in which Yiddish was spoken. They promoted their culture. They made secular schools for Yiddish and this kind of stuff. So the idea that, they just tore down our entire culture. Yes, there was atheist education, which I disagree with, but they promoted their culture more than they degraded it. So I completely disagree with that point. Let's see here. Most of the commie blocks in Poland still stand, but they only house the poorest of the poor. That makes sense because it's generally older housing. The USSR did fight tribes native to Central Asia who did not agree with their land that belonged to the USSR. The USSR defeated them and sent most of them to Siberia. That is true. There were a number of like the Kalmyks, for instance, who ended up being sent to Siberia and then went back later, because there were these kind of smaller tribal groups of people who opposed the new revolutionary government, and that's going to happen in any kind of revolution. Like it's a complex problem. There isn't necessarily an easy answer to something like that. Let's see. Actual fun fact, they abolished bridal kidnapping in Kyrgyzstan, which was a practice for centuries, and when the USSR fell, it started happening again. I had an anthropology professor say that bridal kidnapping was the Soviets' fault. Lol. Yeah, it's pretty odd. It's pretty odd that, like, the economy in Kyrgyzstan now, it's so bad that bridal kidnapping is going to happen more easily, and obviously government corruption and so forth is going to make it more easy. But in the old days in Kyrgyzstan, like, a lot of the people who live there, they went to other parts of Russia to study, or to end up getting with other ethnic groups in their marriage, like Kazakhs or Uzbeks or Slavs and so forth. And so there was a larger sense of internationalism at the time, a larger sense of unity between wherever you are, Azerbaijan or wherever. And there was a modernization, taking the bad aspects of these cultures and kind of bringing them up to date. Like, one of the most interesting facts I like to bring up is that Sharia law was actually allowed in the Soviet Union, but it was only allowed for more minor crimes, and it was put in place as a choice. So if you were in a majority Muslim republic and you wanted to either go to the Soviet courts or the Sharia courts, you could choose to go to the Sharia courts. It was just certain things were banned in the Sharia courts. Like, you couldn't, for instance, stone people. You couldn't. There was certain things like like cheating or whatever, that your wife gets lashes and this kind of stuff. You didn't have that in the Sharia courts. Those things you weren't allowed to do. But the overall religious practices that you would have had in Sharia law, they tried to keep that culture there. They just took out the most brutal, gruesome aspects of it. And so it's yet another example of the government bending over backwards to be able to provide a level of autonomy and cultural protection and religious freedom to these minority groups in the country. I mean, if you want to go even further, the leaders of those specific republics had the right to veto. They had the right to veto laws that, let's say Gorbachev or whoever wants to put in place a law that is binding all over the country. If the leader of Kazakhstan Republic doesn't like that law, they could just veto it. And the reason that was put in place in the Constitution was to keep racist laws from coming to pass, in order to keep discrimination of those peoples from coming to pass. And so I could go on and on about this for several hours, but I'm just saying, like, if you take the propaganda at its most base level aspects, if you just look at the surface of what you're told, without doing any of the research involved, then you're going to come to conclusions that the winners in history want you to believe, rather than what actually happened. And so there's quite a lot of propaganda, State Department propaganda, that comes out. You look at someone like Robert Conquest, like he was paid by the British government openly to write The Great Terror and these other books, which have been largely maligned by scholars who are not leftists in any sense, but simply see that the citations and the sources that he used for those books in order to malign the Soviet government were just not true. Were just lies. And yet that's a widely cited book. You look at, like, the Black Book of Communism. That book, it was a Harvard Research Center said, hey, this book is bullshit. And then the writers of the book said, yeah, that was bullshit. We exaggerated. This isn't true. And so they came out and admitted it themselves. And yet this is a book you find in school libraries. This is a widely cited book. And so I don't know. You can't just look at the most basic aspects. You have to look beyond. You have to look beyond what they want you to hear. Sleeping in the commie blocks be like, why there is water dropping on my face. I wish they hadn't put that monkey in the spaceship. I don't know where you're getting this idea, man. I think I've pretty thoroughly explained why that isn't true. And moreover, if there were these real structural problems, the people had enough capital to be able to pay. They would have had enough capital to be able to pay for a basic repair, or just do the basic repair themselves. Like, rent cost 2 to 3% of your income. That was one of the reasons why housing was universal. Is because it costs so little of your income to be able to be able to get housing. But despite this, it was high quality housing. Like, they would have had the money to be able to repair it. I don't understand this idea. Like, logically, looking at the average incomes of the people of the Soviet Union, they would have been able to pay for it. I watched No Fucka's video. No Fucka is literally like... He's literally like a Zoomer who did not even grow up in USSR. He regularly makes, like, pro-US liberal propaganda videos to get views. I really don't think he's a credible source. There's like water dropping and structural problems now because those buildings are older, but even then, like, many of those buildings still function quite well. Many of them are still places where people live and they still work. So I don't... They also cite the Gulag Archipelago book as a credible source. Yeah, and I mean, that book has been widely debunked as well. And No Fuckas is literally just... He's literally just a tool of the CIA at this point. Like, all of his videos are just talking about how great the West is, and I don't think he's a credible source. Ask people who actually lived. Ask people who actually lived under the Soviet Union. Even then, that is anecdotal evidence, but I think it's better than I think it's better than just I think it's better than just hearing something a guy who didn't even grow up in the country said. No Fuckers is pretty much Russian Leafy. I agree. He's pretty bad. I'm gonna play Pong again. It's weird. This I've been looking at the chat so much, and I've had so many points to make that I haven't even been paying attention to. I haven't even been paying attention to the game at this point. Um, my ex-GF's mom was a Polish person living in Soviet Poland. It was socialist Poland, my boy. Uh, and she despised it so much she came to the USA. The interesting thing, and there were a number of economic problems in Poland in the 80s that were very real. I'm not gonna sit here and say that the Polish government was just exonerated of all flaws. There were quite a number of bad things going on there. But I don't think you can trust people who were able to get a green card, come to the USA, and fully immigrate here and integrate into US society as credible sources. First of all, they don't really know what their countries are like now because they haven't been there. And second of all, like, you're not allowed to be a part of the Communist Party in order to get a green card. You just can't. There are certain political organizations that you're not allowed to be in if you want to immigrate to the USA. It's well documented. The second of all, in the U.S., if you say anything even remotely positive about China or whatever country you've come from, Venezuela and so forth, the immediate reaction is with shock. Like, if you say anything positive about the countries you've come from, they would go, oh, what if are you brainwashed? Wasn't it terrible living under socialism? What, wasn't that, like the hell on earth? And all of the social institutions in the country encourage you to have the most anti-communist beliefs possible, or you're just outcasted. You're not accepted for what you believe if you have those experiences. And so there's a system of encouragement for people who move to the country and were able to get a green card. The very difficult process of immigrating to the US, by the way. But we're able to do all of these things. By the time they get there and socially interact, if there's anything positive they have to say, it's immediately met with the idea that it was brainwashing and that it was evil. And so there's a social incentive for the people who come to the US to say the most negative things that they can about the countries that they lived in, even to make things up. Like, there are people who have been paid quite a bit just to make stuff up about the countries they come from, because it works within the narrative that the U.S. government wants to spread. And you can trace this back to, say, Operation Mockingbird and a number of the media control. A number of the media control apparatuses that the U.S. government has in order to suppress political dissent, but there's a very real social there's a very real level of social control that influences these people into saying the things that they do say, a system of reward, if you will. And so let's see. So I think going to the people who live in the countries now, or talking to them now, I think is a more credible source than the very, very small percentage of those countries, the minority, if you will, the minority of those countries that were able to get a green card and immigrate to the US. They are not representatives for the countries they lived in. They're just not. They're a tiny, tiny percentage. And they were probably like doctors or teachers or one of these other things. Most of them aren't normal people. They usually have some kind of larger profession, a part of more of the intellectual elite strata of those specific countries. Not always, but usually. And even without that being a factor, they're the most, like, atomized minority of those nations. So I don't think they can be a representative for their entire population, the way that so many people say. Let's see. The biggest problem is commie blocks are boomers blasting disco at full volume. That's pretty based. Just saying, you said ask people who live under those systems, so I gave you one. And I gave you a nuanced answer as to why those people aren't the, the largest representative. Like it it isn't just asking people who lived under those systems. That is a part of it. It's also understanding the political context for what those people are saying. Um, and understanding the psychology behind it, understanding their place in those societies. I think looking at the majority of people, looking at the majority is much, much more of a good indication of what the country was like than looking at a tiny atomized minority who got a green card and was able to immigrate to the US and so forth. Um, she was poor then and poor now, so it wasn't one of them. Okay, and I said like not all of them are the larger educated strata of society, but many of them are. But the fact that she was able to immigrate at all, and the fact that that social order exists that encourages them and provides a great sense of reward and punishment for having certain opinions about their respective countries, uh, influences what they're going to say. Um, oh boy, I haven't done this in a while. F is for friendships. You you keep neglecting you is for your alone. I see. Um, hmm. Oh boy, it's been so long since I've talked in depth about politics. This is reinvigorating. I'm surprised I can remember all this stuff, to be honest. I've spent so long researching this shit, like obsessively researching this stuff for the last like 3 years, and so I've ended up interfacing with material that says a lot of the same things. So even though I have pretty bad memory problems, I can remember a lot of this stuff. Um, in is for never doing anything at all because all you do is sit at home. There was something Chronica said that I didn't read, I think. Oh yeah, is saying the USSR invaded Afghanistan is a fascist talking point. The USSR literally defended the legitimate government from fascist far-right invaders from Pakistan and the Saudis funded by the US. Just to go back to the point that she made earlier. Didn't remember. You play Grand Strategy. I don't know what Grand Strategy is. Play Kriknoia. Hmm. Let's say I wanted to live on a farm and shoot my guns and fuck my daughter like all you Americans do. Would that work in a commie hellscape? Um, no. You could shoot guns. Um, I don't think maybe incest would be legal depending on the culture of the place. I don't think it would be just because incest is illegal in most countries. It's kind of considered to be a common sense point of view. You would be able to shoot guns. Like most socialist countries of history have had guns. In fact, a lot of them have been like armed to the teeth with like regular civilian militias being trained in military stuff, you know? Um, like you look at North Korea now, and I don't think North Korea is the best example of like what a socialist country should look like, but like 10 million of their people, and this is according to the South Korean government, have access to heavy weapons and artillery, like actual artillery. So they're not only like the majority of the people are trained in military training, they have access to a fuck ton of guns. And so, like, most of these countries have had lots of guns. I don't understand the point. And living on a farm, I mean, what do you think? Farmers are just going to disappear? Um, a lot of them might be farmer collectives, but the idea of like private farms existing could very well be the case. Um, I mean, not all of the farms in Cuba are farmer collectives. Some of them are self-owned. The same is true of China today. So if you want to shoot guns and have a farm, it's perfectly possible. Um, I have 5 hours on Civ 4, I know history, bro. That's pretty based. Guns are heavily regulated, but you can get one if you try hard enough. Depends on where you are. Would cunny be legal under I don't know what cunny is. I have 500 hours on Civ 4. That's pretty based. Oh boy. I'm this is just becoming the star lectures over Pong stream. I didn't mean for this to happen. Oh. I don't like strategy games. I really don't. Um, I think the only like I kind of liked Command and Conquer. I thought Command and Conquer was okay. I like what was that game? Is Sim City count as a strategy game? I don't know. I've got 551 in CK2 and 500 and or 751 in CK2 and 529 in Civ 5. I know my shit. Fuck emojis. Did that be? Fuck Susan, you Jewish fuck. I agree. Uh, let's see. Sex will only be monthly event in which men jerk off into town semen and women will sit at the end with their legs open to get impregnated. We must redistribute the means of reproduction. Yes, clearly. Uh, let's see here. Hmm. Do. Play Vic 2, USSR in the 1880s. Nice. I have learned more about the USSR that is not biased from this stream than I have at school. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm glad I'm glad I can I'm glad I can be an educational resource. It's something. It's something I've done with all of this time of reading all this shit. Lefty Pole poster. I've never really posted on Lefty Pole. I've lurked around, but I've never really posted on there. And like I said, like I have massive criticisms of these countries. Where like if you look at the people on Lefty Pole, like there's a lot of just this cult-like personality obsession with the people who led these countries, which is obviously a bad thing. Like cult of personality is not good. It's never been good. And I think people should be able to make nuanced critiques of these countries while also being able to say the positive or neutral things that they've done. Like our discourse is so atomized that every single talking point is either this thing is absolutely bad or this thing is absolutely good. That like citing World Bank statistics to people has become has become a terrible thing. Let's see. Star no trans. I ate too much food tonight and has hampered my productivity. Gotta stop with the mashed potatoes. It's interesting. I've never liked mashed potatoes. I've always thought they're very bad. I don't like them. They make my stomach hurt. They're just not good. They taste bad, and they don't feel good. I've never liked them. They've always been very bad. A star no trans. How long have I been streaming for? I've been streaming for almost 2 hours. Yeah, my stomach hurts too. What's your favorite PS2 game? That's a hard question to answer because so many of them are so good. I can't think of one. Like I was going to say one of the Silent Hill games, but I can't. Silent Hill 2? Maybe? Metal Gear Solid 3? I haven't really played all of Metal Gear Solid 3. I can't. I don't know. Do you play SMT or Persona? I played all of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, and I've played a little bit of Persona 3. But the game, my PS2, the laser is so messed up that Persona 3 doesn't run very well, or it doesn't really run at all. You don't like mashed potatoes? Cancelled, cancelled. I've been cancelled. Oh no. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is good. I haven't played. I haven't played much of Persona 4. I only played it on an emulator, but I thought Persona 4 was pretty good. Silent Hill, best story, worst gameplay. I thought Silent Hill 4 was fun. I enjoyed Silent Hill The Room. I enjoyed the game. It was a bit too convoluted at times, though. Uh, let's see. Siren was a good game. I never beat it, though. I didn't even get past the first level in Siren. It was a fun horror game. Uh, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. I have to play more PS2 games. Like, my PS2 library isn't very big, despite the fact that I always say it's my favorite console. It's not very big. I need to get more games. There's too many. Based SMT3 lover, I assume. Yes, I'm a very big fan. Soylent Shill. You should play the two SMT Digital Devil Saga games on PS2. It's a friend simulator, basically. Think of those characters as my friends. Yeah, I would love to play through all of the SMT games. Um, there's quite a number of them on the PS2. I need to play them. Uh, they're just very long. They're kind of those games that you play in order to entirely escape reality for a while, and I haven't really had the time to do that, to really feel enveloped in a world just because I've been going to school. No, just Persona is a friend simulator. Oh, I see. Um, it pretty much is. I always liked the friendship mechanics in those games. Pong brings back flashbacks of your analytical videos about video games. I want to make more of those. I want to make more of those analysis videos on games. Those were some of my favorite videos to make. If you go into SMT games thinking this root characters are your friends, you're gonna have a heartache. Yeah, it's true. Free MC boot your PS2 as long as you have a fat mount model. You can store ISOs on the hard drive and not worry about the discs. I actually enjoy collecting the discs. There's a kind of satisfaction I have to having physical games. I just really like physical media. Um, I have an old fat model that's like broken, so I could probably make the fat model useful, because it is broken, so it would be something to do with it. But I prefer physical games. I like collecting them. I like looking at the packaging and the box art and stuff. I like putting it in the system. It kind of reminds me of when I was younger. Um, Law, neutral, or chaos? Hmm. I suppose I would go with neutral because if the law was chaos, then there'd be too many things going on at once. And at least with neutral, I can at least moderately enjoy things. What do you think of the more pill, canceling your internet and putting all your energy into a creative project? A lot of my inspiration comes from the internet, so I don't know how well I would do with that. I sometimes think about taking the Kaczynski pill. I like the idea of going out into the woods, going out in the woods for a few years and just constantly reading books and writing. I don't think I would ever actually do it for more than a few months, but uh, do you not know SMT alignments? I don't remember very much about SMT alignments. It's been several years since I've played those games. Um, uh, and and so the only and plus the only SMT game that I ever finished was Nocturne. Law is basically subservience to God. You basically live to obey him, and there is harmony and equality. Uh, I mean, I like the idea of harmony and equality. So, um, neutral is humans live to their own liking. I would have to, yeah, I have to go with with just harmony and equality, just because that sounds nicer. I'm a very non-confrontational. I'm a very non-confrontational person. I don't like conflict very much. And so the idea of everyone just kind of going their own way and you know, living the most peaceful, harmonious life, and we're all friends here and this kind of stuff. I like that a lot because I feel like I wouldn't have very many things to worry about. I don't like conflict, and I don't like feeling too restricted at the same time. I like being in the absolute middle where everyone, you know, everyone is just kind of harmonious, you know, not no very nice, you know, very laid back, very chill. I like that. Um, Chaos is absolute freedom to the extremes of murder and might is right. Yeah, definitely not a fan there. It's too much of a risk to my own security. Um, do you have any opinions on Death Stranding? I have not played it yet. It's too expensive. Um, Chaotic neutral Chad based dick strangling. Let's see here. The issues with law is that it's an extreme example of peace and harmony at all costs. If you don't agree with God, you're fucking dead, exiled, or killed. That sounds kind of like the civil system in Psychopaths. If you've ever seen Psychopaths, it sounds kind of similar to the civil system. Which, I mean, I'm not even like philosophically in favor of the civil system, but there's a part of me that feels I would rather live under the civil system than Enlightenment kind of individualist values. Um, but I'm a law fag, so yeah, no, I'm a law fag as well. You need to learn chaos rituals. If you have a PS4, I could ship it to you. I have a PS4. I just never play on it because it's in the other room. Like, I paid for the PS4 with my money. I bought the majority of it I paid for, and then one day it was just upended and removed from my room. So I never play on the PS4 anymore because I just don't have it in my room, and so it takes too much effort to you know, so it's weird. It was during the summer too. During the summer before I went back to school, I had I had paid all this money for the PS4, and I was so excited to play it. And I played it for like a week and a half, and then it was just upended. And so now I don't really have it anymore. Pong, yeah, no Pong. Let's go back. Just do beginner. I can't keep doing intermediate. I'm getting my ass kicked. Hmm. I'm amazed that I've had a consistent 23 stream viewers. I wonder who these people are. Like, so many of the people who watch the streams don't comment. That's why I'm interested in who these people are. Who are they? I don't know. It's there's multiple factions. There are the people who lurk. There are the people who actively talk, and then there are the people who talk sometimes. And I'm very curious as to what the story for all those people what their story is. I like having these kind of open discussions, you know, people coming in and they have their own point of view and I have my point of view, and we just talk about random things. It's so much fun. I always feel like I learn something from the people in the chat, and there's always a discussion. It feels very good. It's very comfy. You got to play SMT4, bro. So I can have an autistic alignment conversation with you. I do need to play SMT4. I really do. I want to play more of the first Persona game. I played the first Persona game, and it was really, really fun. Um, let's see, I'm busy editing Help. I mean, the live stream is here. I guess just listen to the stream. I wish I could attend more streams, but I'm more busy these days. Me too. I don't really have the ability to stream as much as I used to because I'm always way too tired from going to school, or I'm just generally depressed from going to school. So I don't get to stream as much. Um, let's see here. Anagram 2.0, but SMT. Yes. Yes. That's basically just the alignment charts. But I do need to play SMT4. It's interesting, like, I don't know why more people don't like Persona 1. I never finished the game. I want to buy a physical copy before I finish it. But I always liked Persona 1 a lot. And most people hate that game. They think it's too convoluted and so forth. It reminded me of Kingsfield a little bit. If you've played Kingsfield by the by the what are they called? The developers of Dark Souls. Um, Even though like they're completely different gameplay styles, for some reason I just got Kingsfield vibes. Have you ever played Middens? I've never played Middens. Yeah, never played Middens before. They don't like Persona 1 because it's not a waifu simulator, plus it's kind of slow. So I see, I see. I'm lurking. Dr. Omi, base Dr. Omi in the chat. As always. Good man, good man. I liked how Dr. Omi thought I was going to become a normie. It was funny. There were like interventions. There were interventions in Red Madatsuki, Yoshika Miyako Red, Admiral Umaru, Yoshika Miyako Red's Discord server, where he was like, "Oh, dude, guys, Star is gonna become a normie, bro. He's gonna become a normie. His content is going to be ruined." Persona 1 from one image looks better than the rest of the games. See, I like this. I like this Calliope energy. Let's see. I can't wait for SMT5. Hopefully, it isn't Persona 5. It isn't personified and has the SMT vibe. Isn't SMT5 coming out on Nintendo Switch? I wish I had the ability to save my money so I could buy a Nintendo Switch. I just all of it goes into bills. Oh boy. Which Pong are you? I am the one on the right-hand side. I have 5 points at this moment. What the fuck is Shin Megami Tensei? Is Shin Megami Tensei. That's SMT. I'm excited yet cautious for Shin Megami Tensei 5, and it will be on Switch. Shokugeki no Soma is going to end up like the Soviet Union, slow death from the inside. Based. That's pretty based. I've never even watched Shokugeki no Soma, but I agree with that point just because I like the way it sounds. That's pretty big. I really love that analogy. That's great. I gotta screenshot that. Oh, slow death from the inside. That's pretty based. There's so many levels. Like, there's so many levels to that metaphor as well. That's actually amazing. R.I.P. Andropov. Can't wait to play the new Pokemon. Pokemon is okay. All of the games are the same. It's just the same thing over and over again. Which, I mean, as someone who likes a lot of the same things over and over again, I can't really complain. To not play the new okay, I didn't read. I read really fast. I read really fast because I was trying to keep track of... Oh, shit! Oh, I almost said a racial slur. Oh, boy. I still have my suspicion of you going normie mode. I will speak to Red more about this. Very, very interesting. Interventions on my behalf. Interventions on my behalf as to whether or not I will become a normie. This is amazing. This is like, I feel like this is what people who make YouTube videos dream of, who like attention, like those thought YouTubers who like the Gold Digger or whatever. Like they all just want people gossiping behind their backs, like, oh yes, ooh woo boys, I make YouTube videos, and then like secretly they're initiating you, calling you, using their calling cards to get you on to something. Pokemon Sword Pokemon was always a stupid idea for a franchise, and it's gone downhill since Gen 3. Oh, okay. I had to back up for a moment there. I was starting to get my ass kicked because I was looking at the chat. Let's see here. I've not enjoyed Pokemon since X. I enjoy most of the games, although Pokemon Crystal on the Game Boy Color is still the best Pokemon game, and I refuse anyone saying otherwise. It's still the best. Still the best Pokemon game. It's great. Mystery Dungeon mainline games. I completely agree. The Mystery Dungeon series is far, far better than most of the Pokemon games. I don't know why more people don't talk about Mystery Dungeon. There's a Game Boy. There's a new version of the Game Boy that's going to come out. A Game Boy. Let me look up this Game Boy remake. It's something like that. I have to look it up in the news. News. I'm getting a bunch of Nintendo Switch stuff. There's a remake that's coming out. I forget what it's called. Game Boy Analog Pocket. That's it. This. I cannot wait. If I could actually open the Yahoo News article, I cannot wait until this comes out, the Analog Pocket, because I will be able to play my original Game Boy games, my Game Boy Color games, and my Game Boy Advance games, all on one system. And it looks like a Game Boy, kind of. It retains the charm, the original feeling. The screen is larger. It cleans up the picture, obviously, by converting it to a digital signal or whatever. It mirrors the size and feeling of the Game Boy, but it has it has upscaling. Basically, it makes the games work better, so I can enjoy my physical media and I can enjoy it in better quality while also retaining the same feeling that the original console had. So I'm going to I think I'm going to enjoy this when it comes out. It's gonna be like $200, but when it comes out in sometime in 2020, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna play the Mystery Dungeon games again. Let's see here. Pokemon could only be sustained if the dev team was 100% autistic. I agree. What have you been discussing during the stream? I discussed too many things. I don't quite remember. A lot of different stuff. The chat always brings up interesting things, so there's so many. The chat could probably remember it better than me. There's too many things it talked about. Star's big PewDiePie controversy will be playing Pong. Yes, I mean the thing is that you say that, but there's more grains of truth to that than you think. We're like. I made an analysis video on Pong in 2017 that was literally like a response to a super controversial argument I had with a friend in the Chromasticators, where we argued for like 2 hours. It was the most autistic argument ever as to whether or not Pong was a good game. I wrote like a 8-minute video explaining to him why this random guy in this random argument was wrong about something, and then I went on to make like 3 more videos about the exact same topic as the argument continued. So I was making written editorials about arguments that I had in Skype calls. So in a sense, you're actually not wrong. Let's see. I think they're not going to make any more PMD games. I see. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon 2 on the PS1 is one of my favorite games. I have not played it, but if I played it, it would probably be one of my favorite games as well. Let's see. TFW sold most of my Game Boy games to GameStop for pennies. That's rough, man. Never sell games to stores at the very least. They always do you a bad time. I didn't know this was coming out. I think a lot of people didn't know it was coming out. I just keep up with video game news and stuff. Why not just get Chocobo's, CFW on your 3DS? CFW. I don't know what CFW is. TFW, all the mainline games together are BTFO'd by the Explorers of Time and Darkness's storyline. Interesting. The complex strategy and hidden stats, as well as the sheer number of, the sheer number of creatures combined with the need to put those creatures on a map was with an interesting world need a high power level developer. Ever played Final Fantasy? I've played a number of Final Fantasy games. I played the original NES game. I want to own it physically, but I played Final Fantasy VII on like an emulator. I want to own it physically again. This is the thing with me. I will never finish games if I'm playing it on an emulator. I just won't. I refuse. I just have to own the physical copy. It's a thing with me. I feel more motivated if I have the physical copy. I've played one of the Xbox 360 Final Fantasy games. It was really bad. And I've played the MMO. Which one was it? Was it Final Fantasy 12, 11? I don't remember which one it was. It was like the MMO on the PC that I played through a hacked server. Um, See Dwarf Fortress and how it handles absurd complexity. I know I can get mega extremely autistic about my favorite most hated games. Don't bring up Fire Emblem Fates to me. I don't really hate very many games. There's very few games that I actually dislike. Like, most video games I enjoy, and it's strange because, like, I'm super picky about anime and other mediums and so forth, but video games, there's very few games I dislike. I enjoy almost all of them. I wish there was a more autistic version of a Diary of Spaceport Janitor. Interesting. GameStop is good if you want to trade in Switch games. I heard something to that effect. Like, I know Yoshika Miyako Red, Admiral Umaru Red, Yoshika Miyako Red made like $300 on Switch games. Um, uh, Custom firmware, basically hack it, jailbreak it, whatever you want to call it. Um, I mean, I don't like hacking and jailbreaking to run emulators on the consoles. I like owning the physical version. I physically own Final Fantasy 1 on NES. My aunt gave it to me when I was younger. Nice. Final Fantasy Roman numerable is based. I highly recommend it. I can't read most Roman numerals. I don't interface with them enough. I feel the exact same way as Star. Having physical media compels you to go through with the product. I bought a couple of anime that I still need to watch. Yeah, like, knowing that you put down money into something makes you feel so much more motivated to do it, because I grew up very, very poor. I actually still am very poor. And one of the things that I always had to do was that, like, if I bought a video game, I had to eagerly, like, think, like, painstaking amounts of effort into how much I thought about what game I was going to buy, because because if I bought a game, then that was going to be all the money I would have for several months. And so even if it was just like a small thing. And so I always felt motivated to complete the games that I bought because I didn't have any games otherwise, you know, like, it was the only thing I had. And so putting money down gives you a very real sense of motivation to finish it, because you didn't have that money otherwise, you know. It was something you could have put towards something else. It's not even about guilt or shame. It's more so about motivation. Maybe when I was younger, it was about shame. My one local independent games store closed now. All we have is a tiny GameStop, and you can literally cross to the back of it with a single leap. Yeah, we have a physical game store in my town. I think I might go there one of these days and do a video there. I don't know if I would be able to walk there, though, because it's quite a ways to walk. But hey, maybe one of these days I'll walk there and record a video. They don't have a huge library, to be honest. I mean, I'm glad a physical game store exists, though. Physical media is awesome. I own 2 PS2s, a North American and Japanese PS1. It just feels better on physical hardware. I completely agree. I have a fat PS2 that's broken, and I'm thinking of looking up how to fix it, of just going through, like, my slim PS2. I have an extra laser for it, and I'm either going to crack that one open, and when I crack it open, replace the laser, or I'm just going to take the fat one that I have and adjust the laser in it and fix the problem. I really don't know if adjusting the laser would be enough, to be honest. Hopefully it would. I don't know. But I need to fix one of these because both of them don't work very well. Let's see here. Oh boy, there's so much going on in the chat. Sucks they had a whole corner of plushies and a lot of anime DVDs and manga as well as other nerd shit. That is really tragic. Like, stores that just carry all of the nerd stuff are so cool. I have played Final Fantasy 9, 10, and 12, and 15, and have liked all of them except 10 because of the cringy voice acting. Yeah, it can be a bit of a mess. English dub acting is usually not very good, but it was comfy. He only played 1, 6, and 7. I've only played 1, 6, and 7, just bought 8 the other day. Like 6 the most so far. I've got to stop playing League. I'm so angry right now. I've played League like once, and I thought it was pretty bad. Never played it again. I've always thought League of Legends is pretty terrible. MOBAs are not fun. I need to bike up the city to find independent shops. Yeah, independent shops are always fun to go to. Go there before they end up closing down. What kind of content do you think you'll make while you're teaching English? Most likely just like vlogs of like the city I would be living in and stuff. Like, oh, let's go to a restaurant today, like what Daniel Lord does. I would probably talk about a lot of the same topics that I talk about now, albeit with a degree of more evolution, a degree of more wisdom, perhaps. Doing like the kind of like story time stuff of talking about old events that have occurred, because there are still stories I haven't told, at least not in very much depth. I could see myself just vlogging about more general topic stuff, philosophy and so forth. I don't see myself talking about things that are different than what I talk about now. The only difference would be the fact that I would be in a different country, and I would be recording the country and kind of showing off what the place looks like, exploring and so forth. Let's see. The food up there is worth it, though. I see. I've got my childhood fat PS2 that has a jammed disk drive and a slim PS2, which I don't really like a lot. There's a charm that the fat ones have. Even though the fat ones break constantly, I think they have a great deal of charm. Do you still visit Wiz? I still go to Wiz every now and again. It's interesting that you say that, because if I open up Pale Moon, if I boot up Pale Moon, like, WizChan is one of the first things that comes up. Yeah, so if you go to... This ad blocker shit's coming up. My computer's so slow when I'm running OBS. Yeah, it actually is the first. It is the first thing that comes up on my computer, or on Pale Moon at least, is in the bookmarks bar is WizChan, LaneChan, Obaway-chan, 4chan, my YouTube subscriptions, Tono-chan, SushiGirl.us, Hardcore Gaming 101, GameFAQs, my anime list, Nya, which is a anime torrenting website, Arizu-chan, Lefty Pole, 8kun, which 8kun is currently down, and then anime and manga. The smugolo.ila. This is basically this is basically like when 8chan died, the people started migrating over here more. And there's actually a thread on this version of A that does progress updates on whether or not 8chan is going to come back. Pessimism-chan cringe. I like 4chan. I still go on R9K, to be honest. But I still visit Wiz. I don't go there as regularly as I used to, just because I've had less time, but I like reading WizChan. Ex-League addict here, also ex-CSGO addict. I've never been addicted to CSGO. I've always just kind of enjoyed playing it. NoFap got me on that funky shit. Nice, good job. Let's see here. Adjusting the laser never did the job for me. Had to replace it for a new one every time. I'm probably going to have to replace it as well, to be honest. I don't understand how adjusting works for so many people. At least you didn't rage as hard as I have. I can't with this game no more. I stopped playing CSGO because the rage in my current desk is slightly broken due to me losing a kill while playing Tierst. I don't understand people who rage at video games. I have a really hard time. I have a really hard time getting mad at games. I guess because I played video games at such a young age. You know, I started at 2 years old, and I never really stopped. And I have a strong affinity for hard games. Like, one of my favorite games is Ninja Gaiden on the NES. So I guess, like, I'm sort of, it's sort of inbuilt into my, I don't know, what do you want to say, psychology at this point, to not get mad at games, because I just sort of stoically react. I just go, oh, I died. Time to keep going. You know, time to move on to the next part. I don't get mad. I might get bored after dying enough times, but I don't get mad. I like verbally saying, like, fuck, shit, you know, like that kind of stuff, just because it's fun, but it isn't like an angry kind of thing. It's something that I actually copied from watching YouTubers do it, ironically enough. Um, let's see here. Looking forward to you traveling. I gotta get ready for my dad. Ciao. Yeah, see you later, amazing Jesse, anime watcher, whichever. It was nice having you on the stream. Wish there were more comic book stores near me. Comic book stores don't quite do it for me most of the time. Maybe it's because I'm not so much into comics. A lot of the comics I like are, I haven't been able to get too heavy into the medium. A lot of the comics I like are like kind of, you know, typical stuff like art, what's the word, one about the aardvark. What is aardvark comic book? Aardvark comic. Serapis, is it Serapis, is that the name? I think it's Serapis the Aardvark. I like that one. I like Spawn, and a number of other series. Like, I like the cartoon tie-in comic books, like the Ren and Stimpy comic. Ren and Stimpy had a really good comic book. I have to drive in like 2 hours to go to one. I see. I talked to this Kazakh person, and apparently they hate this dish that contains a goat head. Ooh, I might make a vlog eating that one day. I'm at WizChan. I see. I used to visit Wiz because of the long posts. I like the long posts there as well. A lot of just very, very in-depth discussion, personal life stories, and this kind of stuff. It's a very fun time to read. Rank, yeah, no, I was about to get to that. More like Wine Chan. What was your CS:GO rank? I got to Eagle before I couldn't take it anymore. My rank is it's pretty low. Like, I think I was at like level 8 or something. It was like absurdly small. I didn't have a very good rank. I was never quite good at the game. I just kind of went into matches randomly and just shot at people, and listened to podcasts while I was doing it. I never like. I act like I was this huge fan of the game, but there are people who are way more obsessive about it than I was. I always kind of just used it as a comfy game. I didn't even really focus on playing on teams very much, where most of the point of the game is that you play on teams. I always kind of just went into the arena and shot at people. Let's see here. I've been playing games since I was 4, just that I really believed that I could be pro in CSGO, so I tried my hardest. Plus, when you lose in multiplayer games, you often think that it's your team's fault for your losses, whether it really is or not. I've never been able to care about my teams. In any team-based game that I play, I will not care about you whatsoever. Perhaps it's because I'm just a kind of stoic, I don't know what you want to say, narcissistic guy, I don't know. But I've never been... I've never really cared. When I lose for my team, there's not a particular shame I feel attached to it. I just don't really care. A Wine Chan posters need to learn about stoicism. I agree. WEII in my game, our Lee literally ran down mid, not his position by the way, and just got killed. Also, level 8, you didn't make it to ranked play. I actually don't know. That's the last level I remember being at. I might have been at 11? I don't remember. You know about Robert Crumb, how he made Fritz the cat. Was it Robert Crumb who did that? I thought it was a different guy, right? Because he did the Lord of the Rings animated film. No, it was Ralph Bakshi. See, you got me confused. It was not Robert Crumb. It was Ralph Bakshi. He did Coonskin. Coonskin was a good movie. I liked Heavy a lot. Heavy Traffic was a good film. Cool World was kind of boring. I never watched Fire and Ice. I liked the cartoon. What was the cartoon he did? Ralph Bakshi worked on this cartoon, Mighty Mouse? Let me look it up. Ralph Bakshi worked on Mighty Mouse, I believe. Mighty Mouse. I think he worked on Mighty Mouse. There was an episode where Mighty Mouse used cocaine, and it was program creator was Ralph Bakshi. This was a good show. Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures was like a really great revival of the TV show, which is interesting because oh wait, F. F? Wait, are we back? Are we back? I think we might be back. Stream is offline. Are we back? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I opened my own video by accident. Hello, hello, hello. We've returned. Oh boy, so many Fs in the chat. So many Fs. I've got people who I've never even seen before who have Fs in the chat. And it looks like everyone miraculously left as well. If you like Cerebus, you would like Robert Crumb, Shizo Comics. Let me look this guy up. I don't want to have another aneurysm where my computer fucks up. Oh boy, is it gonna do it again? Okay. It looks like we're still cooking with gas. Okay. We're still working. We're still chugging along. Thank goodness. But this series, Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures, it was a really good show. I'm surprised that it came out in the 80s, because if you look at what cartoons were generally like in 1987, 1988, they didn't really have more like edgy shows like this that kind of pushed the envelope, where like in the 90s things kind of changed because of cable TV. You know, with the introduction of Nickelodeon, they were able to produce more, more adult cartoons for children. And over time, let me check my comments section. What's going on? Okay, so no new comments. What was I talking about? Anyway, I forget. Yeah, Mighty Mouse was a fun show. I so many things to watch. How many bit rates do you have? Bit rates. I don't know how to measure that. Let's see here. What's I gonna say? Is there anything else? Who is this oven repair fellow before? I've never seen this guy before. It looks like he has a box over his head, like hiding in public, that fag. Also back to League. Good luck. There's a terrible Muhammad Ali cartoon. I believe it. I think I know what you're talking about. It's from like the early 80s, right? Yeah, it had really terrible animation. Robert Crumb made the comics, so Ralph Guy just helped adapt it into animation. Oh, I see. Wasn't Heavy Traffic like the brainchild of Ralph Bakshi, though? I know Fritz the Cat. Fritz the Cat was a Ralph Crumb comic, probably. I think that's probably what you meant. It's interesting how he was able to get away with producing like X-rated animated films. Let's see here. No, I'm a robot. I see. Well, I don't really have much else to say. So unless you guys have something you want to tell me, something of particular note, I think I'm probably gonna head out. Yeah, do you guys have anything in particular you want me to talk about? I think I'm about done here. Why was the past so great? Why was the past so great? That's just something I say now. Like when I'm stretching, like I randomly just say, why was the past so great? It's become a speaking habit of mine. It's like people who have Tourette's just say random things. I have Tourette's for saying, why was the past so great? Fuck, I remember finding a text board once that was just an infinity scrolling text box. It was full of ASCII art and had an ASCII road going to the middle. Nice. One last question. Okay, I'm interested to hear, how do I get rid of my headache? Stop drinking. That's one way. 3 a.m. and listening to Star with boomer music in the background instead of sleeping. Nice. 3 a.m. Where are you? That sounds like a comfy aesthetic to have. I don't think I saved the link. Would you slap your mother, your real mother, for $20 billion? Of course. Why would I not do that? I don't like that seems like just a logical thing to do. If you can get 20 billion, if I had 20 billion, if I had 20 billion, I don't think she would be worrying so much about getting slapped. I really don't. Especially not being in as much not being in as much poverty, like with as much poverty as she in, like she can barely pay rent. I think she would be pretty happy with me having 20 billion. No, we good. See you around, Star. I mean, hell, if I could get like a couple $1,000, I would do it. Jesus Christ. Uh, I made a Lane wood print the other day. Nice. Eastern Europe. Ooh, based. Very based Eastern European man. Um, nice on having made a Lane wood print. But, I think, yeah, this is about it. How do I have so many Eastern European viewers? This is something that interests me, is that I've noticed that I have quite a few people from Eastern Europe who watch my videos, especially Russia. I don't know what that is. There's so many Russians who watch my videos. I don't know where they all come from. But, yeah, I think this is about it. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to the live stream. Wait, I have a question. Okay. I'll answer this one last question. You got me at the exact right time. How do you say hello in Greek? Oh, jeez, it's been so long. How do you say? Mm, I think it's something like Gayasas? Gayasas? Something like that? I don't remember. It, that, I, my it's been a very long time since I've spoke Greek. You're hitting me with hard questions at this moment. These, yeah. I only used to know like a few sentences in Greek because I wanted to see how it sounded. Even if you made it up, I'd have no clue. I don't know any Greek at all. Um, yes. Thank you, Star. Good night. Yeah, good night. How do you stream for so long? I just respond to what the people in the chat say, and the people in the chat usually have interesting topics that they bring up, and so I always have responses for the stuff that they say. Like, I've kind of trained myself to talk for as long as possible, whether it be with vlogs or live streams or what have you. I have been doing YouTube for almost, yeah, really, if you count my old channel, over 5 years now. Almost 7 years, coming up on 7 if you count the old YouTube channel. So at this point, like, I've practiced so much. I've made over 1,000 videos, well over 1,000 if you count stuff that's been deleted off of YouTube and so forth, that I've practiced for so long that I always have more things to say, and like, I think a lot about different things, so I kind of take the thoughts that I have from thinking all the time and then just present them to everybody through the YouTube sphere. Like, I read a lot of books and shit. I take in a lot of information, so I always am going to have more things to say because I'm constantly thinking and consuming things, and because I've trained myself to do YouTube for, over half a decade now, I just do it. Yeah, I can't do that. I get tired after like an hour, but I try to do at least 2 hours. Yeah, I don't get tired at all. I don't. I can just keep going and going. Like, I actually get more excited sometimes the longer that I do a stream because I just enjoy doing them so much, or the longer that I do a video and so forth. It's just reinvigorating. It's very, very fun to me. I have a lot of fun. Usually when you enjoy something, it's easier to do it for long periods of time. Oh shit, is Meguka RIP? I don't know who Meguka is. Homework for you. Look up how to say 12 months in Estonian. Oh boy, that's knowing the Estonian language. That's gonna be hard. They've got like weird ass words like onavinshir. I believe that's give me vodka, something like that. Is that what onavinshir means? I don't remember much Estonian. I read like I used to know some sentences in Estonian, but I liked the way it sounded. Go back to learning Japanese. I haven't been studying Japanese because school has been really hard on me, but I'm realizing that's an excuse. So what I'm going to do is study. I'm going to study kanji on my phone. I'm going to study kanji on my phone while I'm in class, and so hopefully I can catch back up to the level that I used to be in. Nice lane desktop, thank you. Good night. Gonna go play on PSP till the battery dies. Have fun. Yeah, it was really nice having you on the stream. Install Jinto. Okay, that's it for me. I will see you all later. Is 8kun up again? No, it is not. The deep web version is up, if I recall correctly. So if you wanna go to 8kun on tour, then I believe that is possible. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Bye for now.